Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question before moving on to Casey and David, and that is that when I first came into the business in the early 1980s, Warner Brothers was the biggest player in the games field. They owned Atari. Yeah? What happened? You know, isn't games one of the opportunities that the studios completely missed? And doesn't that indicate that actually if you're comfortable where you're, or comfortable enough, innovation does not come easily, or new business models do not come easily?
Actually, I worked in a music company that thought about buying games companies in 1992, and that music company is about to slip into the control of Citigroup. So I'm not entirely sure it would have done it any favors to be exposed to two cyclical businesses as opposed to just one. So I think that actually, I mean, you have seen across the board major exploitation of original franchises in the games industry. I think that the games industry is just as specialized as the movie industry in terms of what it takes to get mass take-up. I think it would have been... I don't see this as a failure. I mean, there's so much going on in the existing studio life of monetizing this content over TV, over DVD, over all these things. I think that actually diversifying... You know, I remember in 1992, the reason why many companies were thinking of diversifying, this is almost 20 years ago, was because they thought that their businesses were kaput. Now, everybody in this room has lived through many cycles of people saying they're screwed, they're fucked, they're gone, history, etc. And amazingly enough, the world is dominated by the self-same set of incumbents in telecoms, in mobile, in studios, in music, as it was 20 years ago. So fancy that. All that capital went to fuel, you know, all three media and whatever. But, you know, these are financial tricks. They're not... So I think, you know, and you look at Vivendi, which has both one of the biggest, it has the biggest global franchise in multiplayer gaming, plus, you know, Universal Studios, plus Universal Music. I mean, you know, is there any feed-through from any of these activities? I mean, you look at Time Warner, how invigorated it feels, how strong it feels from being a content-only company. I'm sure there are people from Time Warner here, but you know, who will say, "Thank God, you know, we're no longer with AOL. Thank God, you know, we ditched the cable co, which had very different set of targets, objectives, ideas about itself, and so on." And ultimately, capital is limited. So I mean, I don't think, you know, every oligopolist, I mean, you look at BT, you look at the mobile operators, there are many things they don't do. The things that they try to do in other spaces tend to be disastrous, so, you know, probably better avoiding mistakes. So I don't blame them for not clocking that, you know, games was going to be a fantastic franchise. Because you look at people who go to the movies, it's like people who watch TV. It's everybody. It's not just kids age 5 to 20. And the movie business works on a world in which people are getting older and going to the cinema and watching TV. Those are the core bits of the business.